In my research, I'm looking at, right, the kind of intersections of climate displacement and borders, right? And within that, of course, I'm seeing all kinds of incredible work being done. So I don't know if I'm if I'm missing something big. I don't think I am. I think there are lots of big things out there and examples, and you can find them across the world. Some of the most inspiring examples for me were the examples in the Philippines, where I went, where not only you have a consciousness of being on the front lines of climate change due to a number of catastrophes that have happened in the Philippines, but also there seems to be this grassroots activism going on that really distrusts that. I heard like the idea that the climate solutions are not going to come from above, they're going to come from below, right? I heard that over and over again in the Philippines, and that just really reminds me of movements and indigenous movements in Mexico, like the Zapatistas, for example, in southern Mexico, who say the exact same thing. From below, that's where the answers are going to come for people on the ground. Like even the farmers that I was talking about in Honduras, they're the ones that know what's going on in a very intimate way with climate change, as far as how it relates to agriculture. And they're the ones in it, right? They're the ones that know that water's drying up. They're the most knowledgeable about it. They're the ones that probably know the solutions to the problems, and probably some of the more sustainable ways. And that those sorts of visions that actually subvert the idea of the nation state, which then subverts the idea of border and border militarization, and this idea of certain people have access and other people's don't. There's exclusion zones. It puts away all of that, and to make that all go away means we're in a whole nother world, right? Because our whole world, the scaffolding of our world and its injustices itself are in the scaffolding of these ideas of nation states, right? And the kind of how the global economy kind of works in it, and how people are oppressed by it, right? So that has to it seems to me that has to go away, but how's that going to happen? I don't know. It seems like things have to be recreated. If all these, the 97% consensus of science is true about climate change, if, just watching the trajectories of global capitalism and its unsustainability, and the kind of militarism that's just seems to be increasing. Something's got to give, because that's not sustainable, right? It's just completely not sustainable. And when you look at the United States, on both sides of the aisle, they're all, one seems to be a little bit more, the window dressings maybe a little bit nicer. But this seems like, boom, we're on the same highway, driving the same car with the same gas, right? And that highway's about to go over a cliff, and it seems like that there's plenty of people saying you're going over the cliff, and you're going to drag a lot of us with you, right? And that's why it seems like, well, something has. What's going to break that is these from below, just whether it be like just doing imposing projects from below, or that just go against that, or creating an incredible amount of pressure that actually changes the culture of the top, right? Which has happened too. You can already see examples of how that's happened in other issue areas. So I don't know, like it's like when the future is completely an X factor in a way, and it could. And the projections are going to be it's going to get really bad, and maybe it will, and probably will. But isn't there, it was already really bad, right? Like, it was already really bad for a lot of people for a long time, and that needs to change. So maybe that's a good thing that it's going to be forced.